Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Eric, aka Z3R0, and welcome to the second episode of the VoiD Gaming News Podcast. Okay, we're a gaming news podcast where we talk about releases, news, and different segments all about gaming things. I created my channel back in 2014. I'm still making videos on it, some games I'm playing right now. I'm into Minecraft and The Sims 4. I've got parts of those going up. I usually play on PC and watch stuff on my Xbox Series X. I play PlayStation 2, GameCube, 360 every once in a while, like even now. But that's enough about me, honestly. We're just gonna jump right into it. We don't have too many releases this week. I just wanted to clarify the audio only version on Spotify is going to be going up on Mondays from now on, and then the video version will be going up on Tuesdays on my channel. Links to everything is going to be in the show notes. Okay, so I'm going to go over these three things very quickly. Just going to name them off: The Garden Path, July 30th, and Song of Death, July 30th. We covered both of these in the previous episode, the first episode of the podcast, so if you want to hear more about that, go check that out. Also, Minds Beneath Us. We covered that in the last podcast, so more information there if you're interested. For the first new release of this week, though, we have August 1st on Thursday by Odd Games called Malware. Now, it's a very interesting looking game. It has a 1999 computer game look to it. It looks very retro, and it just looks like the old OS systems used to. The whole point is you're supposed to avoid installing the wrong files inside of this game. It's a simulation strategy puzzle game. It looks fairly interesting. I didn't get to try the demo out. I just didn't really have time to play any demos this week, to be honest with you. But it looks pretty cool, in my opinion. It looks like it's such a different take on a puzzle game, so if you're interested, definitely check that out. The next one coming up, we have got Star Wars Bounty Hunter for August 1st, coming out for PC, PlayStation 5, 4, Switch, Xbox X/X, and the Xbox One by Aspyr, looks like. I'm going to read off some quotes. In this classic third-person action adventure, you'll become Jango Fett, prime clone of the Grand Army of the Republic, hired to capture a deranged dark Jedi. Experience the legendary bounty hunter fantasy set before the events of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Face off against foes and maneuver through acrobatic battles in this adaptation optimized for today's consoles and hardware. Fight your way through the galaxy's underbelly, equipped with the dual blasters, your flamethrower, whipcord, and pure Mandalorian rage. Honestly, it sounds pretty cool. It's a third-person shooter. I'm not sure if there's been a Star Wars game like this with the perspective of an actual bounty hunter, especially Jango Fett. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't keep up with Star Wars game all that much. Moving right along, we're going on to World of Goo, coming out on August 2nd for PC and Switch this Friday. Now, this is a sequel to the 2008 game called World of Goo. If anybody doesn't know, that is a very classic game to me. I played it a lot, so I'm very nostalgic to it, to be honest. It's a little bit hard to describe. I'll throw up even a video of the original World of Goo, but I played it so much as a kid, and it looks like it's staying true to the original, and it has a couple new spins and twists and stuff like that, and I love the level progression of the first game. It's an adventure puzzle game. It looks extremely interesting. Discover new species of goo: jelly goo, liquid launchers, growing goo, shrinking goo, explosive goo, and more, all with mysterious new properties. There's 5 new chapters bursting with over 60 new levels, and you can get this on worldofgoo2.com. I'm pretty sure it's available on the Windows 10 store, Epic Games Store, and then Switch. Honestly, I might end up playing it at some point, but like I said earlier, we didn't really have much for releases coming out this week. That's basically it, honestly. If anything else comes up, I'll try to throw it in. But I actually want to talk about Black Myth Wukong. It's coming out later in August. I'm extremely excited for this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it as soon as it comes out, but I'm going to try to get it at some point, and I probably will end up playing it on my main channel or my second channel. It's inspired by Journey to the West, also just like Dragon Ball, and is inspired by the original old Journey to the West novels. You get to play as the Monkey King, and Goku is also the Monkey King, or presented as. In Black Myth Wukong, you have an extendable staff weapon that can go down to the size of a needle and fit in the Monkey King's ear. In Dragon Ball, Goku's Noibo also can shrink and grow into different sizes and all that types of stuff. I'm just giving the comparisons because I really like Dragon Ball, and I'm extremely excited for Black Myth Wukong because it's just going to be a whole nother take on what Dragon Ball originally was inspired by, and I find that to be extremely fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes. I'm going to read off a few quotes from Steam now. Might be a bit of a mouthful. Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG rooted in Chinese mythology. The story is based on Journey to the West, one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. You shall set out as the destined one to venture into the challenges and marvels ahead to uncover the obscure truth beneath the veil of glorious legend from the past. One of the major highlights of Journey to the West is its diverse cast of adversaries, each with their own unique strength. As the Destined One, you will encounter powerful foes and worthy rivals throughout your journey. Fearlessly engage them in epic battles where surrender is not an option. I really hope that it's a good adaptation, honestly. I hope that they have their own spin to it and their own awesome, just little secrets to explore that you never really would have expected them to come from it or not to come from it, stuff that they make up on their own, but use Journey to the West as a base of the inspiration, which I just find it's going to be really interesting to see how it's going to come out. Spells, transformations, and magic vessels of all manifestations, in which some counteract with others amplify, have long been iconic combat elements of Chinese mythology. As the Destined One, aside from mastering various staff techniques, you can also freely combine different spells, abilities, weapons, and equipment to find a winning strategy that best suits your combat style. So it sounds like there might be a lot of strength modifying and different things like that. They mentioned transformations, which I'm not gonna think too much of Dragon Ball, but maybe he turns into a giant ape, you know what I mean? Something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Kind of gets me excited, and I love games with magic and just medieval kind of aspect or just ancient fighting type games. I love that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but Black Myth Wukong comes out on August 20th, okay? I don't know why, I just wanted to talk about it. I'm really excited for this game, so I wanted to throw it in since we didn't really have a lot of releases coming up, but that's one of the games coming very soon, honestly, just in a couple weeks now. A few weeks, sorry, 3 weeks, something like that. So we're gonna move right on to the news now. This is everything that's happened in the last week, basically. So the first thing I have here is that esports became a part of the Olympics on July 23rd, right? Most of my news stuff comes from Insider Gaming or Gamer Rant or all different types of Twitter accounts and stuff like that. All my sources and things are in the description or show notes down below. The International Olympic Game Committee had a session where they voted for esports to become a part of the International Olympics. The entire committee voted for video games to be a part of the Olympics. There wasn't a single no or absence. Specific rules for the Olympics: only certain games are allowed, currently excluding most of the first-person shooters like Call of Duty and other things like that. Right now, the confirmed list is League of Legends, Rocket League, Street Fighter, Tekken, iRacing, NBA 2K, and FIFA. There will be various mobile games also, but we don't really know what they're going to be, and as the years go by, they're going to be adding different games. A couple big exclusions are Valorant, CSGO, Call of Duty, stuff like that. Obviously, huge esports titles just missing here, but we'll see how that kind of develops in the years coming. I don't know if it's going to be in this Olympics because it was just voted on. I'm assuming it's going to be next year's. July 24th, Modern Warfare 3 came out on Game Pass. This is the first Call of Duty ever to come out on Game Pass, so I think that's something worth mentioning. Soon after, all of the others hopefully will follow from the past, and then obviously we can expect Black Ops 6 to be on Game Pass, but with their rising prices and all that, we're going to see how all that pans out. But yeah, Modern Warfare 3 on Game Pass. If you own it, it's free right now. If you've never played it, you want to try it, go for it. On July 25th, Fallout London finally came out. This has been, being teased and talked about for so long now. I have seen it everywhere, and it's free to play. It's a mod for Fallout 4. You will have to get a older version of Fallout 4, but I believe that the mod helps you do that. There's 200 quests for 20 different factions throughout the entire world. There's an entire new city built from the ground up, all new assets, stuff like that. Not all new, I'm assuming. Don't take my word for that, but I know there's a lot of new stuff. Overall, it's got great reviews. It has fantastic voice acting. Some say it's some of the best voice acting in a mod that they've ever seen. There's a bunch of bugs and glitches at launch, just like any major AAA title would, right? So hopefully those are all going to be patched out soon. No word on that yet, but hopefully they are going to figure all that stuff out, and I might give this a try. I'm not sure I own Fallout 4 though, so we'll see how that goes. I might have to get it at some point. Stalker 2 has been delayed for another 2 months. We have a new release date of November 20th, 2024, so yeah, kind of upsetting. That was also another game I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely gonna have to see how it works, see other people play it, if it's a game I can kind of get into, and then I think I might end up getting it at some point. But it's delayed to fix bugs, which shows initiative. They want to make sure they put out a more polished products, or as polished as they could get it, so that should be good. All right, Activision released a skill-based matchmaking paper, basically saying skills calculated by 3 criteria: match, total kills, kills/death ratio, and kills/deaths by enemy Okay, so that lets them determine whether you're killing yourself to, make your lobbies a lot easier, get into bot lobbies, stuff like that, or whether you're actually playing the game fairly and not as skilled. So I found that interesting. I'm going to have a huge spiel of this and quote Insider Gaming right here. In 2024, Activision performed a secret experiment on Modern Warfare 3, dropping the skill metrics from skill-based matchmaking for thousands of players to see how it panned out. The test was run for an entire month, during which players would have been matched more randomly against competitors. In a report discussing the findings of this experiment, Activision noted that with reduced skill considerations in the skill-based matchmaking mechanics, 90% of players suffered from a reduced returning player rate. Put simply, when lobbies were more randomized and skill wasn't taken into consideration, players quickly abandoned the game and took long to return. Furthermore, the team tracked on an increase in quit rate in 80% of all players taking part in the secret test, which is a huge figure. It proves that players get increasingly frustrated when skill-based matchmaking isn't as strong as it should be. Again, Activision pointed out that the first thing the skill-based matchmaking process looks for is geolocation, matching players with other gamers that are close to them geographically. Then the system considers skill, using a player's percentile rating to match them with closely aligned users. Then the player's desired control schemes are considered. There was an interesting scenario outlined by the team that shows how matchmaking works when you queue with a talented player. Take, for instance, a party of two players, Alice and Bob. Bob is an average player with 50% skill percentile, and Alice is an elite player with a 99% skill percentile. If we matchmake them with Bob's skill, Alice is practically guaranteed to be the best player in every lobby they join, more so than if she played solo. If we matchmake in Alice's skill, then Bob will likely be the worst player in every lobby they join. Thus, we must match them in the middle such that the worst player gets some opponents of equal footing while minimizing the inherent advantage of the better player. I find that to be really interesting. They hardly ever talk about skill-based matchmaking, so I really wanted to cover that here. They've only dabbled in it here and there, but apparently they performed a secret experiment, so that's pretty interesting if you ask me. I do remember them saying that they were gonna do this many months ago, back when the game was first coming out and everybody was, just getting into complaining about everything new wrong with the Call of Duty, which it will happen when Black Ops 6 comes out. I can guarantee it. It happens every year. Everybody's gonna whine about some dumb feature or something, but like every other Call of Duty, you look back and it ends up being pretty half decent for compared to what we have now or whatever it is. Okay, that's pretty much all of the releases, the news. We got all that out of the way. Now we're going to be moving into a new segment. We're going to be going into the top 20 best-selling Xbox 360 games of all time. This is a segment I thought up of. I was just searching through things, stuff like that. I loved the 360. It's the 7th console generation, and all of our numbers are going to be for video games only sold on the 360, okay? I don't think that was accounting for backwards compatibility and other things like that, okay? So let me repeat this. I don't want anybody correcting me and stuff like that. These numbers are only for the 360 sales, which, undoubtedly one of the best console generations, the 360, PlayStation 3, and Wii. I believe the 360 was released in 2005, which kicked it off. Alrighty, kicking off this list with number 20, we have Call of Duty World at War. It was released November 11th, 2008, and it sold 3,350,000 copies. First-person shooter, it's the 5th entry in the COD series. It's the first game to introduce zombies to Call of Duty through finishing the campaign, and then you unlock the Nazi zombies mode. You can play the campaign as Americans and Soviet soldiers. It was a very amazing game. I mean, anybody that played this knows that. Number 19, we got Batman Arkham Asylum, released August 25th, 2009. It sold 3,480,000 copies. An action-adventure game. Play as Batman against the Joker. I never played this game, but I know a lot of people that have played the Batman series and absolutely love them. Number 18, we have Fable 2, which is no surprise to me. It was released October 21st, 2008, and it sold 3,500,000 copies. It's an action role-playing game within the fictional land of Albion, 500 years after the first Fable game. Every decision has an impact on your character development. The game has choices that impact the storyline and what missions you can do and side quests, and it's an amazing game. It's very interactive, similar to Red Dead Redemption, but more choice orientated, I'd say. If you've never played it, definitely play it on backwards compatibility. If you've never played it, I'm sure it's available on backwards compatibility, or try to pick it up somewhere. It's a great game. Number 17, we've got Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, released November 5th, 2007. It sold 4,211,000 copies. The first person shooter, it's the 4th installment in Call of Duty. It came the year before 4, World at War, set in modern times instead of the previous entry, which was World War II. It's the first Call of Duty to offer 55 levels, and it introduced Prestige mode this year. They offered 10 Prestiges, and Prestiging has been iconic ever since. Supposedly it's coming back in Black Ops 6 this year, so that's extremely exciting. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's just a number, it doesn't really matter, but anybody that's been playing for, that long knows that Prestiging has just been a staple of Call of Duty forever, so why? No reason for them to ever have taken it away. That was the main gripe that I had with it, at least. It was more of the principle of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But as we saw with the whole SBMM paper, all they really care about is retention and things like that. So number 16, we have Batman Arkham City, released October 18th, 2011. It sold 4,730,000 copies. It's an action-adventure game, a sequel to the Asylum game, with a primary focus on Batman's combat, stealth abilities, detective skills, and gadgets that you can unlock and do all sorts of stuff with it in combat and out of combat. Another game I didn't really play, but I know tons of people love this game. Number 15, we have Gears of War 2. My uncle played this game so much, and that's my core memory. I played tons of Gears of War 2. He played all the Gears of Wars, and he was always really good at them. Both my uncles, actually. But Gears of War 2 released November 7th, 2008. It sold 5 million copies. It's a third-person shooter sequel, which improved upon its predecessor, which comes in at number 14. The original Gears of War released 2 years before, exactly on November 7th, 2006. It also sold 5 million copies, matching it, maybe a little bit more. Let's just go with it because it's further up on the list. This list is from Wikipedia, so some of these numbers, they're not going to be perfect, but this is the list I'm going by. I fact-checked a lot of them for 360 sales, and a lot of them seem to be accurate, the ones that I checked, so hopefully they're fairly close. If not, it's not my fault. Don't shoot the messenger. But the series puts emphasis on cover-based combat in which players can use objects to avoid gunfire or safely engage enemies. Gears of War is a fantastic Xbox franchise. I mean, everybody knows of Gears of War. Number 13, we have Halo 4, released November 6, 2012. That sold 9,410,000 copies. Everybody knows what Halo is. It's a first-person shooter. This was the first Halo game to be made by 343 Industries instead of its predecessor developer, Bungie. Halo 4 is the 7th installment in the Halo series. Coming in at number 12, we got Halo Reach, released on September 14th, 2010. It sold 9,870,000 copies. I love Halo Reach. This is my personal favorite and most nostalgic Halo game. I played with Forge mode in this game more than anything else. I used to make racetracks and TDM maps and other mini games like Cops and Robbers, Trash Compactor, King of the Hill. I mean, different things with Banshees. I used to love just flying Banshees around, and my friend would shoot me with the whatever type of alien gun stuns the Banshee. I haven't played Halo in a while. I've been meaning to get back into Halo Infinite. I might actually download that and check it out after this. But yeah, I played countless hours of all those game modes. I mean, those mini games made Halo Reach what it was. Honestly, it's a fan favorite game, and I love it. I'd love to go back and play mini games on that if I could get people together just to go play some Trash Compactor or Cops versus Robbers. Number 11, we got Call of Duty Ghosts. This was released November 5th, 2013. It sold 10,160,000 copies, being the 10th installment, and honestly a shock that it's on this list, but it did have a lot of hype surrounding it before it came out, and then ended up receiving just a ton of backlash. When I'm looking back at it though, I always think fondly of it. I thought it was a good game. It had a bunch of innovations and different things that it did a lot better than its predecessors and its future games. Let's be honest. I mean, we were followed by all the futuristic type of Call of Duties. We had Black Ops 3, which was fantastic, but after that, everything dived down. Number 10, we have Grand Theft Auto 4, released April 29th, 2008, and it sold 11,100,000 copies. GTA is a staple series in the gaming industry, this being the 6th installment, set in a fictional Liberty City based on the New York City. Play as Nico Bellic in third person, with 2 expansion packs later being released for the game, The Lost of the Damned and The Ballad of Gay Tony. This game is also extremely nostalgic for me. I mean, walking around Liberty City, I don't think I actually ever beat this game, to be completely honest with you. I did that a lot with a lot of games when I was younger. I had ADHD. I'll bounce between different games, not finish them, stuff like that all the time. But the amount of hours I put in this, I could have beat the game like 4 times, I'm guessing. Just, I used to love messing around. And they also had like a multiplayer. I think there was 32 people allowed on it. Everybody looked like Nico Bellic, so it was a little strange. But I even have videos from like 12 years ago of me playing it on a separate channel than mine. Maybe one day I'll share those with you. Coming in at number 9, we got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This game was released November 10th, 2009. It sold 13,490,000 copies, coming in as the 6th COD game. We're really getting up there in like the millions and millions of copies sold now, as you can see. We're really starting to ramp it up here. Everybody played Modern Warfare 2 around this time. It had a fantastic campaign and multiplayer. Buggy at best, but but fantastic. It later had 2 DLC packs with 5 new multiplayer maps each in them. The first one was called the Stimulus Package, which is where we actually got the infamous map Crash, which a lot of people seem to forget. Number 8, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, released November 11th, 2011, selling 13,700,000 copies. Skyrim is an action RPG adventure game, and I could go on and on about it. I've played it on my channel and countless times before that. It takes place 200 years after Oblivion as the 5th installment in the Elder Scrolls series, taking place in Skyrim, the northernmost province of Tamriel, a continent on the planet Narn. You play as a dragonborn trying to defeat Alduin, the World Eater. Every time I pick this game up again, I end up playing it for so many hours, it's not even funny. It's just a total time waster. I mean, it's not a time waster, but you know what I mean. I have a great time, so it's worth it, but you just sink so many hours into this game. Number 7, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 2, released November 13th, 2012, matching Skyrim with 13,700,000 copies. Black Ops 2 is the 9th game in the Call of Duty franchise, set in 2025 with flashback missions to the 1980s, which just gives it such a cool dynamic. It brought some of the most iconic multiplayer maps like Carrier, Raid, Hijacked, Express, and one of the most iconic zombies modes with Die Rise, Mob of the Dead, Buried, and Origins. Transit was there too. Who the hell can forget running through the fog, knifing the frickin' things off your head? And we also got Nuketown zombies, which nobody really ever, I don't think, expected. At least I know I didn't, but that was so much fun. Just twist that I did not expect, which later came back in Blackout, kind of. Shout out to Blackout if you guys know Black Ops 4. Coming in at number 6, we got Halo 3, released September 25th, 2007, selling 14,500,000 copies as the 3rd installment, introducing Forge mode to the franchise. Now, I can't say too much about this game, as when I got my Xbox 360, Halo Reach was the newest game, and that's the one that I ended up getting, but it brought so many staple features into the Halo franchise that they use even in Halo Infinite. A lot of the game was built on Halo 3, honestly. Next up at number 5, we have Call of Duty Black Ops, released November 9th, 2010, selling 14,550,000 copies. This is hands down my favorite Call of Duty game, and don't get me wrong, I played countless hours on maps like Firing Range, Jungle, Launch, Nuketown, and Summit, but most of my time I spent Pack-a-Punching in Kino der Toten, playing maps like 5, stuff like that. I absolutely loved zombies in this map. This is the game where I really, really fell in love with it. I played so many hours, countless hours on Kino. That's probably one of my favorite maps behind a Nocturne and Toten, because I did play World at War as my first game. That was my first ever zombies experience, was on World at War. But yeah, just endless memories playing Black Ops Zombies and multiplayer. I just did not play as much. Surprisingly, honestly, because when I went back, I thought I did, but I was a way lower level than I expected. But I still have so many memories of multiplayer too. All those maps in that game are stapled into my mind and they'll never come out. Now we got number 4, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, released November 8th, 2011, selling 14,720,000 copies. It's easily one of the best Call of Duties of all times, as the 8th Call of Duty overall. It follows directly after MW2's ending with a cooperative mode called Survival, which is kind of a spin on zombies, but when playing it feels different enough, and I always remember having a lot of fun playing it. And although my Modern Warfare 3 disc got scratched up at some point and it constantly just crashed on me, I went back to Black Ops 1 that year as my COD substitute, which is also why I have such an attachment to that game. Multiplayer in MW3 changed things up with score streaks instead of kill streaks, added 20 prestiges to the grind through this. This game had quite a bit of downloadable content. The DLC is an assortment of additional multiplayer maps, special ops missions, and face-op maps that came as part of the Call of Duty Elite Premium membership. Downloadable content was split into 4 unique content collections, each with 2 to 3 content packs. So they were starting to get a little bit more complicated with how they were dispersing new content. Number 3, we have Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition, released May 9th, 2012, and it sold 21 million copies. So yeah, a huge jump right there. Minecraft is a sandbox survival game with an infinitely generating world to explore. I actually remember waiting for Minecraft to come out on the 360 the night it came out. I did have Minecraft Job Edition for a while before that, but it was a huge deal that it was coming out on 360 because not all my friends had it, and now everybody could play. So besides Pocket Edition, which we don't really talk about that, it was such a huge step in Minecraft. If you guys didn't know, I also play Minecraft constantly on my channel. That's my hardcore series is going right now, so definitely check that out if you're interested. I played Java Edition, but I played 360 Edition with my friends literally the day it came out, and I've been playing ever since on Bedrock and Java. Coming in at number 2, we're really getting down here. We're really getting to the nitty and gritty here. It's Grand Theft Auto 5 released September 17th, 2013, selling 22,950,000 copies on the Xbox 360, following three protagonists, Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, in their attempts to commit heists while under pressure from a corrupt government agency and powerful criminals. Again, everyone knows GTA 5 is one of the greatest video games ever created. Nobody can argue with me on that. It hit out of the park with an amazing story, and then a few months later it released GTA Online, making $8.5 billion in profit since it was released in 2013. Okay, and that makes it the 13th highest gaming franchise in the entire world today. And coming in at number one, okay, I don't think anybody's expecting this. Connect Adventures. Okay, if you didn't already know Connect Adventures was the most sold Xbox 360 game, I don't think you could have guessed this, to be fair, because this was not in my radar whatsoever when I was checking out this list for the first time. Released November 4th, 2010, it sold supposedly 24 million copies for the Xbox 360. Now I say supposedly because Connect Adventures suffers from pack-in syndrome, meaning it was bundled with the Xbox 360 Connect bundle, meaning every single person that got a Connect bundle also got this game with it, inflating its sales drastically. This game uses full body motion to play a variety of minigames, with each lasting about 3 minutes. Don't get me wrong, this was a fun game, but I was not expecting for it to be number one. I'm really curious if anybody else was. Yeah, I honestly think that's about it. I hope you guys really enjoyed our little top 20 best-selling video games for the Xbox 360. The 360 is part of the 7th console generation, including the PlayStation 3 and the Wii. I'm thinking about next week maybe making a segment on the top 20 PlayStation 3 games sold on there, and then maybe one on the Wii as well. That way, maybe then at the end we could compare kind of, obviously each one will have its own exclusives and different things like that, but where do each games stand on each platform, which ones were sold more, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking next week we're going to go over PlayStation 3's top sold games on that platform. But it is time to wrap this up. Okay, so you guys got to make sure to rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify, available every Monday, and subscribe to my YouTube channel Zero, that's Z3R0. I post a video version of this podcast up there every Tuesday, and I make content on a variety of games every other day, including and not limited to Minecraft, The Sims 4 currently, of the series that I have going on. I hope to see you all in next week's podcast for episode 3 of VoiD Gaming News. I think we're kind of getting into the hang of this here. It got a little bit longer, kind of trying to figure out how to get into the groove. So yeah, I'll catch you guys all in next week's podcast. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace out.